I'm with Ken, NG2 Hotel. You've just come back from Heard Island. What was that like?
It was wonderful. It was sort of a dream come true. I got my first license in 1955, 61 years ago, and have thought about doing something like this for a long time. And when I got the opportunity, I wasn't sure I could do it because I'm 75, the oldest person on the expedition. And I contacted our leader, Bob Schmieder, and we talked for about an hour, and then I submitted background and medical stuff and so on. He shared it with the team, and the team said, okay. So then I shared it with my wife, which was the bigger problem. And she said, okay. So I had the opportunity to go, and it was just a thrill.
So how does it compare to other expeditions you've been on?
This is my first expedition. At 75, finally got on an expedition. I've been in contesting, I've been traffic handling and all that, so CW skills were what was needed, but I didn't have experience on an actual expedition, and so this was a double thrill.
So, come on, tell us the goss. How was it?
It was great. It was great. The thing that people, it's all about people. And Bob's a great leader, and the thing about this is we've got people from 5 different countries, 6 maybe, and everybody got along exceedingly well. We didn't really know each other till we got to Cape Town, which was just before we boarded the vessel to go on the expedition. But everybody was just super, and they're just, I don't know, and the diverse background, nobody has a similar background. We've got lawyers, doctors, we've got engineers, we've got scientists, we've got entrepreneurs running businesses, all this kind of thing on the expedition. So all kinds of different personalities and backgrounds, but they all just got along. We had a fun time. It was just really great.
So what does a typical day look like? You know, food, what do you do for food?
Good question. Fortunately, we have the Braveheart, which was able to get us food. They have a great cook on there. He does really a super job, and they would bring it over to our base camp on the island. Sometimes they'd bring it over, and then 3 days later come back and bring some more over. So we would have to keep it warm or warm it up. So we had electrical power by our generators and a microwave. And so we could have, I had a coffee urn, so we had some hot water. So make coffee and warm up the food that had been brought over, and it was really, really quite good. Although not quite what we're receiving tonight in this wonderful reception. This is really a nice thing. So it was very, very good.
So what's it like being back in civilization? I mean, you left civilization over 2 months ago. What was it like, that journey from, cold and hot water, running water, going through, an ocean journey, camping for a while, back on an ocean journey, and now, the earth isn't moving beneath your feet. What's that journey like?
Well, you've conjured up all kinds of thoughts. The first thing is I left the 1st of March, and I'll get back the 29th of April. So it's going to be 2 months. And of that, 42 or 43 days, we were either at sea or on the island. At sea is something I love, but it was really, really rough. They don't call it the Furious 50s for nothing. I mean, it was really rough on a small boat, up and down and so forth. So it was a challenge, but it was really, really fun. But the reason I say I like the ocean is that I spent my career in Navy nuclear submarines. I was a commander of 2 nuclear submarines, and interestingly, one of them visited Fremantle in 1980. I was the skipper then. And I was here at that time and hosted by the Australian American Association, and they were just wonderful to me and my crew. We had a great time. So it brought back those memories. But then getting to the island, as you just arrived for almost the first time, about the only time we saw a Big Bend, the 9,000-foot volcano. It was moonlit, it was beautiful, it was white. And it was deceiving because we hardly saw it again during the 3 weeks with the wind. The weather on Heard Island is just horrendous. So it whips up the volcanic ash. Sometimes we had 70-mile-an-hour winds up to maybe higher, whipping against the tent. And you say, is this tent going to hold, And go outside, either the driving sleet, the snow, or the rain, because it's sitting there. We're on the ocean, so it's 32 degrees or so in Fahrenheit or 0 C. And you just don't know what you're going to run into. It keeps it plus or minus a few degrees of zero. and that, with the wind, a friend of mine said it's like you got 14 guys and they rent a 1-bedroom apartment. All 14 sleep in the same bedroom, and they all work in the other room. Oh, and by the way, there's no kitchen. There's no bathroom. There's no shower. So there are certain hardships that you put up with. But that really was bonding in a lot of ways. Everybody, facing the same hardships and the same duties and getting day after day after day. Time went by pretty quickly on the island, and it was just a lot of fun, just putting up with all the extreme weather. And but as I said at the beginning, it's all about people. And if it hadn't been that everybody was getting along extremely well, then it may not have been fun. But it was just a lot of fun. Really enjoyed it.
So the cauldron of humanity that you build up in this thing, this is a lifelong friendship, I'm sensing.
Yes, no doubt. Vadim, Hans Peter, Vadim from Ukraine, Hans Peter from Switzerland, Gavin from New Zealand, Alan from Australia. We had a truly international team, and the language barrier, what did Churchill say? The U.S. and Britain are separated by a common language. So the language barrier between the U.S., the Australians, the New Zealanders was overcome, as was the Swiss, as was Ukraine. we just had a great time. But that common interest in amateur radio, which is born usually when you're quite young, really does draw people with so many diverse backgrounds together. So it was one of the best teams I've been on.
What's your fondest memory?
Well, I'll tell you, the people, I think, number one. I think we've already covered that. But if I tell you something else, when we walked ashore, we were greeted by king penguins. King penguins are the most curious and friendly creatures. I had no idea. And I love those those birds. They would come up to you, they'd look at you, and they'd look at each other. You'd be putting antennas up. A group of them come over and look at you working and putting up the antennas like, who are these people? What is that? And they would go, woo, woo, woo. And I said, they're saying, wow, look at that. Because they make these sounds like they're talking. And then their chicks are so neat. And I haven't even covered the seals. We got the elephant seals, the fur seals, and all the... And you walk right by them. It's like, hey, it's just another animal. And they're looking at me and say, oh, looks like another animal. It doesn't look like it's going to harm anything. So they just... The seals ignore you. The penguins want to come up and talk. So that's a memory I'll never forget. And I talked to the schools, middle schools and high school before I left. And then when I get back, I'll do the same. And I think that's what I'm going to share, and they're going to like that. One of the pictures we have is of a seal pup who had gotten a little ways away from its mom. And then mom was calling, and then the seal pup was calling mom. And then it starts crawling back to mom, whose head pops up over elephant seal. So it's a fur seal looking over elephant seal. And the little pup starts getting back to mom by crawling over an elephant seal, which wouldn't have it. It moved it aside, so it goes around the elephant seal and gets back to mom. Stuff like that. It's just really, really sweet.
I'm with Ken, NG2 Hotel. Thank you so very much for your time.
Hey, you're very welcome. Thanks for the interview.